everybody, Brandon Jones here. Welcome to Trailer Score. I got Kyle Bossman.
I love trailers.
I got Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And we all got a Final Fantasy VII remake. We knew this was happening. Kyle, were you expecting gameplay of this at PSX?
I was absolutely expecting gameplay.
Expecting it.
Yes.
Wow.
Not only more cinema footage, but actual like HUD up, cloud slashing gameplay.
Yeah.
I was not. Blood, were you expecting this?
No. I thought this was so far away.
Even when they walked out on stage, I thought maybe we'll get some screenshots or something. But,
I'm all in on Square Enix. I believe in Square Enix right now.
And now we know probably why we got this, is that it's going to be in installments. A lot of people are reserved to call it quote-unquote episodic. After that news came out, you kind of look at this and you go, this is obviously them advertising the Chapter 1 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it's time to score it, so here we go.
I still don't see why we brought a Shinra soldier along. No way he'd throw all that away for us. What's his name, anyway?
Cloud Strife. And he says it's former soldier. Look, heavy security like this, you want a professional.
This is clearly the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
and I actually don't like that most of the time. Most of the time when I see a trailer and it's like we're in the same environment the entire time, we have the same characters the entire time, if I could leverage a criticism against it, it's that we don't go chronologically through the sequence, even though it's, all the FF7 fans just love staring Cloud in the face. I think it's kind of weird that like it ends with the beginning. It ends with him being like, come on, let's go. And it's like, well, we went. He jumped onto a train after a bunch of guys were shooting machine gun bullets at him. We're going,
Yeah, that shot is clearly Cloud's introduction in the whole game.
Right.
That's probably the first shot of Cloud in the game itself.
But we had already seen him, so it's just weird to see his face. I don't know what they're like revealing there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little weird. I think the big difference between this gameplay debut and other trailers that kind of just pick one isolated moment, environment, chapter of the game and just kind of recycle footage all over again, why I think it works here really well is people are familiar with this. And people, I've only played 2 to 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII before I gave up and was just like, I'm not into this. I really like 4, I really like 6, I'm not really a big fan of 7. I didn't return to the series until 9, but I did play this, so I am familiar with this. So when that, spider mech droid jumps up at the end, I remember that boss fight, so I think it's clever to kind of start with, obviously if you're going to develop this game, you should probably start with the beginning, that makes sense. But I think it was smart to focus on a part of the game that odds are most people watching it have experienced, or at the very least could go get the PC port of Final Fantasy VII on PS4 and play this part and experience like, oh wow, that's what these characters look like, that's what that boss looks like, that's what the environments look like. I think this is possibly the exception of only isolating your gameplay trailer to one part of the game. Was not expecting gameplay. I like that we don't start with it. I like that we hear English VO. Another thing blows me away if you really think about it. How easily could have this, because it's clearly the lips don't match. Like this, we were watching Japanese gameplay with an English dub placed over it. But we got the first time we saw Final Fantasy 15, we didn't have English VO. We got Japanese text in the HUD. Here we have English text, English VO. They brought it to PSX. I can be critical of the actual trailer itself, because it kind of bounces around chronologically, and at the end of the day, it is just kind of a bunch of footage mashed together. But hats off to Square for really bringing a spectacular surprise to PSX. But you weren't surprised, Kyle. Did you still enjoy it?
I'm surprised by how perfect it is. I'm surprised that this game looks exactly as it should. That's impossible. You can't do that. So that's amazing.
Well, some people disagree. Some people don't like the way Barrett looks. He's got sunglasses at night. Some people have criticisms. Yeah.
I can't relate with those people right now because this is just astounding what we see here. This might be the only part of the game that's done. I think it might be
clearly
out of necessity. This is all they could show. So to me, that kind of makes it a little weird. You know what I mean? They're just using the shots that they can, and they all are from one part of the game. It's hard for me to remove that from how excited I am about this project to rate it as a trailer. I think they made the right call. I think, if this is all you have done, they made the best trailer out of that they could. You're right, gameplay pops up at the perfect moment. Just Cloud running through streets. We see 5 shots of him, and it's kind of like jump cuts, but I actually really like it. Kind of showing how many streets there are. So it's a really effective use of that. And I'm just so pumped for this. It's perfect.
I'm terrified what you're going to score this
If
you're throwing the P word out there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Blood?
No, I like it. To get the bad stuff out of the way, actually, I think they got over the shock of voice acting by having the worst voice acting up front. and then it like progressively gets better, and it's like, oh, okay, this is not so bad.
Or the hokiest, maybe.
Yeah. There are some things that are weird to me though, like right at the beginning where they just start, like doing all these quick flash frames of things, like the map and stuff, and the stuff from the previous trailer, and I'm like, what?
I kind of like the little jump cut of the earlier trailer though, because I mean, you imagine that team at PSX. I mean, that's Square being like, remember when we dropped that bomb? That was rad. Like I think that builds the enthusiasm, builds the hype.
Right, but it comes right after the words Cloud Strife. So
Yeah.
what was his name? Cloud Strife. And then he goes, I think it's right.
But I think it's cool how they go through some of this, like the stuff that you've already seen, and then into Barrett, and then you see like a little bit of gameplay and a little bit more, and then you see the combat system. So like it all feels like it builds up, and it feels like it really works well with the song, so that when you're in the biggest parts of the song, you're in the biggest parts of what's happening in this trailer. So yeah, I think it actually it does work really well overall.
It's a really tough trailer to score for me because so many of my positive feelings about this debut of the gameplay from Final Fantasy VII are me just being happy that Square did it, and not really reflective of the actual edit itself. And that's what I strive to hopefully make trailer score separate itself from other people, the millions of people that are going to be sharing their opinions online about this. I'm not talking about what I think the game is going to look like. I'm not talking about like their abilities or, Barrett's sunglasses or, how much content's going to be in the first chapter. How is this edit? Where I, might jump into the high nines when it comes from, tipping my hat to Square Enix to say, well done by, knowing that it was really smart to show up at this event, that to speak directly to the fan base of the PlayStation 4 and get them excited about this project. But at the end of the day, it's gameplay. It's just gameplay kind of thrown together. I really I would say thrown together. I'll take that back.
Okay, all right.
But it is gameplay. This is something, and I think one of maybe the best things going for it is it has a really good pace. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Again, I didn't like that it wasn't chronological, but that might not have worked also. So cozily settle it an 8.5.
I'll give it a 9. Add 0.2 for Final Fantasy points, so it's a 9.2. It's a good trailer, Brandon. It's a good trailer. Like,
it is a good trailer, but this is the first time you've ever mentioned Final Fantasy points. I was unaware that we've reviewed 15 trailers. We've reviewed what?
Yeah.
You never brought up Final Fantasy points before.
Just being honest here. Just being honest. It's a 9.2 trailer. When you look at when they show combat, the things I always ask for in a trailer is escalation. Keep showing us new things, keep showing us more exciting things. I think it doesn't end on the most exciting note. But yeah, I think everything's here, and I think it is a situation where they worked with what they got. I like that the only words you see is legendary becomes real. I think this trailer is very aware of what it is. It's saying, hey, this game is real, everybody. And so, it's not just like, be Cloud Strife, the adventure continues. It's just that at the very beginning, and I actually really appreciate that.
And I think I was thinking the same score as you, Brandon, like 8.5. I think it's interesting how they sort of hint some other things, like, when you see like Cloud's vision kind of glitching out, and it's like we all know kind of what that's about, but that's an interesting way to express that or to show that. I also think it's Wedge, right?
There's Biggs and Wedge. I don't know which is which.
Okay, but anyways, like seeing those guys in the trailer, I think gives you a sense of like how they're going to address the lighter side of this game. When you see like, okay, these guys, I mean, they're rebel fighters or whatever, but they're not super serious. Like there's a little bit of a light side to this. I think that helps to relieve that like anxiety that they're gonna make it like way too like dark and all that. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good overall.
Before we touch on the aggregate score, one thing actually that I will bring up because you are clearly passionate. Although I don't know if you deserve those 0.2 points if you can't tell the difference between Biggs and Wedge, Kyle.
Yeah, you're right.
That's rough.
I'm sorry, everybody. Let's say Wedge.
I wonder if
they wouldn't make the big guy Biggs.
I wonder if someone who is completely unfamiliar, I don't know what rock you've been living under if you don't know about Final Fantasy VII, but does this trailer sell itself to someone who has never played 7, doesn't care about 7, has no idea where they are, what they're doing, what will happen at the end of this sequence? Like you said, Blood, like what that means. I actually thought, they were teasing like a random battle encounter. I thought that was literally going to go into like the turn-based battle. Him like, oh no, here comes a random enemy. Do you think? I mean, does this sell this game to somebody who doesn't know, doesn't care?
It's hard to say because, I mean, the images from this part of the game were what got me, hyped on the original, So, like, even before I had played that game, that and this music had gotten me hyped.
And the music. I don't.
Yeah.
Is this a composition we're familiar with, or do you think this was?
This is absolutely. Yeah,
No. I mean the track, but obviously it didn't sound like this in the original, PS1 Final Fantasy VII.
Right. This
but
is new.
Clearly, this track I imagine has been reproduced later for concerts or albums or whatever. So I wonder if this was something lifted from a previous recording, or if we're listening to music that was created for the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah, it didn't feel like dramatically different to me. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Didn't feel dramatically different from a PS1 tune?
Yeah, it's different for sure.
It's way different. This new stuff. Yeah.
And this is like an orchestra going to town. But I just wonder if there was some concert in Japan or something like that they were just like, oh, hey, we're on a PSX. We haven't written the music yet, but how fortunate are we that
this is it. This is video game music right here. Yeah.
I believe you, Kyle, because of the voice acting. Because I wonder, wow, they're going. Like, this train has left the station. And there's even a train in the trailer, so I feel comfortable saying that. 8.7. There's your point 2, Kyle. We both gave it 8.5. Your point 2 Final Fantasy points. Bring it up to an 8.7. All bets are off with this game now, man. Who knows? E3, are we going to, see more? Is it going to come out before E3?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It might come out before 15.
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to rightly, want that gameplay to be more polished. I mean, that is probably, another negative we didn't bring up is the gameplay. It's got some framiness,
I heard someone say a demo packaged in with 15.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I wonder if that'll happen. Or something, a discount code or something like that.
Sure.
But it's coming, guys. If you are a fan, this trailer makes you happy. I'm sure you give it a 10. But 8.7 from GameTrailers.com, Kyle and Blood and myself. Thank you for watching Trailer Score. See you next episode.